Okay, everybody, let's go flying around the pattern here in Aspen. I chose this because it's one of the trickiest airports in the United States. I've flown here many times myself in real life, and I absolutely love it. In real life, if it's not calm and clear, I basically won't go there. And this is what I have simulated here today. Clear and calm. So you're going to make it as safe as absolutely possible. Now, to demonstrate the PC12, I'll talk through a typical takeoff and landing, but I'm not going to go through too many details. Let's just treat it as any real experienced pilot would. Now, before any takeoff, I do a fast check. This applies to all aircraft. I call it flaps, air brakes, trims, and speeds. Let's take a look. We have flaps set over here at 15. Flaps. Air brakes, there are none. Trims, very important. 1, 2, 3. Actually, I've got to reset the nose trim slightly down using the on my yoke that I have programmed. And the others are good. And speeds are loaded. Well, in a jet, you'd have a bunch of V-speeds populated. In this, there are none. But your typical rotate in the PILATUS is going to be somewhere around 70 or so. I'll get into that later, where rotate speeds are not that important. Once you get experience with the aircraft, you'll be able to feel it out. Let's make sure our lights are on as well. All the lights are set. One more for visibility, taxi and landing lights. Everything else is on. Take a look from the outside. All your external lights are on, and typical in Flightsim 24. Strobes and nav lights are awful hard to see during the day, but hopefully that'll get fixed coming up. So once around the pattern in Aspen, let's go for it. Park and brakes are off. Let's see, there we go. I'll hold the brakes here, rev it up to green torque levels, just below the yellow. There we go, let it rip. Here we go. Easy on the rudder. Some of the added noises come from FS Realistic, my favorite program of all time. Rotate. And positive rate, gear coming up. Over torque warning, gotta slow down a little bit there. Gear up, torque back. That way I'll stop the warning sounds. Beautiful day to fly, climbing out to the right. And flaps up. Alright, we're going to throttle back a bit, come in the pattern at maybe 170 on the downwind. Now here at Aspen we always take off and land opposite directions. The takeoff was in the proper direction, but to show you a traffic pattern, we're going to actually land on the wrong side. Now frequently turboprops and light jets will do the approach to 3-3 at Aspen. Personally, I would never do this in real life. I'm not experienced enough, nor based there to be able to feel safe doing it. But there are a lot of pilots that do this in real life, and if they're based there very familiar, then all the power to them. But as you can see, we're very close to the terrain. There's a good view of the airport down there. As we're on the right downwind now, it's very calm. I've done rough air here before. With any wind over the mountains, you're going to get some dangerous updrafts and downdrafts. But on a perfectly calm morning, it's a great time to try this. Alright, we're on the downwind. Being the landing numbers just a little bit past, I'm throttling back now. I'll add a notch of flaps in. Flap indicators coming down to 15, and we're going to go gear down. Gear coming down. Now we're over the town. I'm going to make an immediate right turn. Here's a very dangerous bowl dead-end valley here that looks pretty scary, and I've seen aircraft fly over my head as I've walked in downtown Aspen before, even a large Global Express once. So I don't know how they squeeze it in here, but as you can see, it's very tight. Right base leg. Let's go to the second notch of flaps. Looks good on the final. Off to the left, still pretty close to the mountaintops. Alright, coming in on the final, bring the power back a bit. We'll be targeting on short final probably about 70 knots with a little green caret indicator shows your best approach speed. Throttling back to idle at the moment, and we'll go to full flaps. That's going to lower our stall on the PFD. You're going to see the red stall bar go way down and enable this PILATUS to incredibly slow approach speeds. Now with this captain's viewpoint, I can certainly see the vertical speed indicator quite well, right in the white band at 1,000 foot a minute or less. I'm also slowing to a ref speed of about 75. And then constantly trimming up. As in any aircraft, you want to be using the trim a lot to keep the pressures off the yoke, especially in pitch axis. And we're still floating in pretty high here. Power is completely at idle, but the PILATUS stops so fast I'm not worried about landing a little too far down the runway. And about 50 feet over the runway now, 40 feet, shown on the PFD. Minimal sink rate. And touchdown, and I'll try to get into reverse here. Going to beta reverse. And there we go, add in some brakes. Now you like to use reverse for most of the stopping power. Adding brakes would really make a stop even quicker though. And there we go. Hope you enjoyed that quick tutorial around the patch.